In the heart of the Niger Delta, where the rivers flowed like the veins of the land, stood a man named Ebiama, a man chosen by the people, for the people. His rise to power was not by force, but by the will of the masses who saw in him a beacon of hope in the murky waters of politics. For years he served River State as a governor with humility, building roads where there were none, schools where children once sat under trees, and hospitals where the sick had been left to their fate. But lurking in the shadows was a ghost from Ebiama's past, a specter that threatened to consume the very essence of his reign. He had a godfather, a political kingmaker, whose influence stretched far beyond the confines of the ballot box. Chief Chima was a man of immense power, a titan who believed no one, not even a governor, could outgrow his shadow. At first, their alliance was unbreakable, a partnership forged in mutual respect. But as Ebiama's vision grew broader, tensions simmered beneath the surface, threatening to shatter the fragile trust that held their political kingdom together. Each decision Ebiama made was scrutinized, each policy debated, each appointment questioned. Chief Chima's presence loomed over the state like a storm cloud, casting ominous shadows over Ebiama's every move. The once harmonious relationship soured, turning into a bitter game of chess, where every move was calculated, every pawn sacrificed for a greater strategic gain. The people who once lauded Ebiama's leadership started whispering in apprehension, sensing the discord that echoed through the halls of power. Theirs was a love-hate relationship. Ebiama needed Chima's support to win elections, but he chafed under the older man's condescending attitude. The godfather had nurtured him to power, but now he expected absolute obedience. Then it happened, a confrontation that shook the foundations of their alliance. In a meeting thick with tension, words turned to daggers. "You forget who made you," Chief Chima thundered, his voice shaking the walls of the opulent room. "I serve the people who elected me, not one man." Ebiama fired back, his chest burning with defiance. The silence that followed was heavier than the Harmattan dust. Chief Chima's eyes darkened like storm clouds. That very night, in the hidden corners of Port Harcourt, plots were woven. Loyalists were rallied, promises made, and betrayals whispered. The winds of change were blowing, carrying with them the scent of betrayal and the threat of a brewing storm. Soon, chaos erupted in River State. Protests, once peaceful, turned violent. Government buildings were destroyed. The media, some loyal to the godfather, painted Ebiama as a tyrant, a leader who had lost control. The people who loved him watched in confusion. How had their beloved governor become the villain in his own story? Ebiama stood before his people, his voice steady, but his heart breaking. "They may silence me, but they will never silence your will," he declared. As he was escorted away, the people of River State stood in stunned silence. Some wept. Others clenched their fists in anger. The godfather smiled, believing he had won. But beneath the surface, a new movement began to stir. Whispers of resistance grew louder, and beneath the surface, a new movement began to form, one that would challenge the godfather's grip and fight for the truth behind Ebiama's fall. The people of River State had lost their champion, but they refused to lose hope. They knew Ebiama's removal was a travesty of justice, but they also knew that silence could be deafening. So they started talking, sharing stories of Ebiama's integrity, his kindness, his unwavering commitment to their welfare. They spoke in hushed tones at first, then with growing confidence as more and more people joined their cause. The godfather might have won the battle, but the war was far from over. The people of River State were resilient, their strength drawn from the deep well of collective trauma, from a shared history of struggle and survival. They had endured much, and this too shall pass, they told themselves. Hope became their guiding light, leading them through the dark days and sleepless nights. They organized in secret, strategizing, planning, waiting for the opportune moment to strike back. The godfather might have thought he had crushed them, but he had only galvanized them. Now they were ready to fight, not with weapons or violence, but with the most potent weapon of all, the truth. As Ebiama faced his trial, the people of Rivers State took their fight to the media. They organized protests demanding justice for their governor. They wrote to newspapers, their words a balm to Ebiama's wounded soul. They sang songs, each note carrying a prayer for his freedom. The media, once the godfather's mouthpiece, became their platform, amplifying their voices, exposing his machinations. Slowly but surely the tide began to turn. People outside River State took notice, moved by the sheer determination and courage of the people standing up for what they believed in. Theirs was a movement that transcended borders, a testament to the unifying power of injustice. The godfather's carefully constructed web of power started to unravel thread by thread, lie by lie, deceit by deceit. The people of River State refused to be intimidated. They had seen too much, endured too much to be cowed now. They were a force to be reckoned with, a tsunami of righteous anger and unwavering support for their governor. And then, the unthinkable happened. The president, swayed by the unrest and the whispers of powerful men, announced Ebiama's suspension. The nation gasped. The Constitution was clear. No president had the right to remove a democratically elected governor, yet power bends laws like reeds in the wind. With Ebiama gone, the people of River State had no intention of backing down. They continued their protests, their numbers swelling, their voices rising in unison. The streets became their battleground, the concrete jungle, their fortress. The godfather had struck a blow, but he hadn't broken them. In fact, he had only made them stronger, more determined, more resolute. He had awakened a sleeping giant. And now, the giant was stirring. Their fight wasn't just about Ebiama anymore. It had become a fight for justice, for democracy, for the very soul of their nation. The godfather had thought he could crush them, but he had underestimated the strength of the human spirit, the tenacity of a people united in their purpose. He had thought he could snuff out their flame of hope, but he had only fueled their determination to keep fighting, to keep hoping, to keep believing in a better tomorrow. Because in the heart of the Niger Delta, where the rivers flowed like the veins of the land, hope was not a luxury, it was a necessity. It was their lifeline. And as the sun set on another day of struggle, the people of River State huddled together, sharing stories of resilience, drawing strength from one another, knowing that no matter the odds, their fight was far from over. Theirs was a movement that defied categorization, a blend of sorrow, resilience, and quiet revolt. The fall of the beloved son had shaken them to their core, but from the ashes of despair, a new resolve had risen. They mourned Ebiama's absence, but his memory spurred them on. His sacrifice was their compass, guiding them through the labyrinth of deceit and treachery. They were an orchestra of sorrow, each note resonating with the pain of loss, but each note also harmonizing with the strength that lay dormant within them. They were a tapestry of resilience, woven with threads of hope, determination, and unity. Their pain was a testament to the depth of their love for their son, but their resilience was a testament to the strength of their spirit. They were a mosaic of quiet revolt, composed of fragments of fear, anger, and defiance. Their fear of the consequences of speaking out was countered by their anger at the injustice they had suffered, and their defiance of the oppressive powers was evident in their every hushed conversation and furtive glance. Yet through it all, there was an undercurrent of hope, a quiet confidence that they would prevail in the end because they understood the power of their collective voice. They might have been scattered, but they were not broken. They were a community bound together by invisible threads of shared sorrow, resilience, and quiet revolt. Their fall had been sudden, unexpected, but it had also been their greatest strength. It had awakened something primal within them, a determination to reclaim what had been taken away, a refusal to be silenced, a thirst for justice. And so, they waited not with the passivity of defeat, but with the quiet intensity of those who know their time will come. They waited in the shadows, their voices hushed, their presence felt. They waited knowing that the beloved son's fall was not the end, but the beginning of a reckoning long overdue. They waited, knowing that justice, like the river, would flow freely once more. Thank you for watching today's episode. We sincerely hope you had a great time. If you did, please do well to like this video and share with your friends. Also, remember to subscribe so you never miss any of our videos. Once again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.